A leading Pennsylvania lawmaker warns that Northern Virginia's growth of artificial intelligence and data centers is causing disruption to the lives of everyday people, including residents in Maryland. Gary Collins and the Spotlight on Maryland team took a road trip to York, Pennsylvania to learn more about the lawmaker's claims.
State Senator Kristin Phillips-Hill, Pennsylvania's Senate Republican Majority Leader, has been fighting electric companies wanting to erect high-voltage power line projects through land seizures for years.
There is absolutely an energy crisis, and that crisis is the creation of failed energy policies in states other than Pennsylvania.
Senator Phillips-Hill says this crisis has been artificially manufactured, critically harming her state.
So we are directly under siege of those companies seeking to site high-voltage power transmission lines to drive that power down to Maryland, Northern Virginia, and Washington, D.C.
A decision.
It is a disgrace, an absolute disgrace.
That Senator Phillips-Hill says has made her blood boil.
Because not only do we have the burden of generating that power, not only do we have the burden of having our land taken by eminent domain for these high voltage power transmission lines, but the way that it is set up, Pennsylvanians have to pay for that infrastructure to deliver the energy to places that absolutely refuse to do what the responsible thing is, which is generate enough power to meet the needs of its citizens.
Spotlight on Maryland dug into the senator's claims. We found, for example, on Friday morning, May 9, on that day, in just 1 hour, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., Pennsylvania State generated in excess of more than 9,400 megawatts of electricity, according to PJM. That's enough electricity to power 7.5 million homes, or a city 13 times the size of Baltimore. During that same period, Virginia needed nearly 6,300 more megawatts to keep its lights on and power the state's commercial sector. This demand for energy in Maryland, Senator Phillips-Hill says, will continue to be amplified by Maryland lawmakers and Governor Wes Moore's energy policy.
Is it the power companies that's driving transmission projects like the one here in Pennsylvania or the Piedmont project in Maryland? Who's really behind this all?
It's elected officials in other states that are behind this. Those power companies, they go where the business is. And the failed energy policies of Maryland are driving this kind of development.
Data from PJM shows that Pennsylvania increases natural gas generation from 22% in 2013 to over 59% 10 years later. Coal electricity generation in Pennsylvania has decreased sharply, while green sources have remained relatively constant, according to the data. PSEG, the utility developer behind the Maryland Piedmont project, sent a letter this week to the region's electricity grid operator, expressing concern that suspended green energy projects, like offshore wind, may not be ready to meet the nation's growing energy demand for data centers.
Look, at some point, something is going to give.
Pennsylvania Senator Phillips-Hill says running extension power lines across the country to Northern Virginia, including the Piedmont project in Maryland, can't continue.
We're going to have to put Pennsylvanians first. We can't continue to carry the load of every other state. Being a member of the grid, it means that you have rights, but you also have responsibilities. And you cannot continue to live in this green fantasy land and say, oh, look at us, we're so wonderful, we only generate green energy, and then import all of your power.
During her interview with Spotlight on Maryland, Senator Phillips-Hill cautioned that Maryland's current energy policy will only encourage future expansion from utility companies to build power line projects by eminent domain. I'm Gary Collins with Spotlight on Maryland.
Spotlight on Maryland asked PJM about the letter received from New Jersey power company PSEG. A company spokesperson for the grid operator said it will post its response online about green energy products, but not today.